Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvey, and good morning to Andrea. How's it going?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be streaming with you again. We streamed together a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a few months ago at this point. I
I
don't know.
think it might have been months.
It might
Honestly,
have been
what is
months.
time? It all just kind of blends into one just mushy thing at this point.
Well, if someone hasn't caught that stream, they are, in a disadvantage. But do you want to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Campos. I'm a children's book author, illustrator, all-around artist. But a fun little fact is that that wasn't always the case. A few years ago, I was actually working as a marketing manager, and I've worked with small businesses, big businesses. And now I kind of get to take all the skills I learned in my previous life and apply them into the work that I'm doing as an artist, as a creative. And I will say that before making that switch, I thought that like being a creative in some ways would mean I didn't have to do all of the marketing stuff that I was doing before, but now I get to do both.
And
And
that's
I'm
a whole
sure,
additional thing.
yeah, it's a whole where it's like, wait, I get to do the old job and my new job both at the same time, and it's just me. Great. Fantastic.
Well, I'm glad that you made the jump. Have you always been someone who's drawn a lot?
I used to draw a lot as a kid, and it was something that I fell in love with again, honestly, during the pandemic, because it was
Mhm.
the first time in my adult life that I had the time, the space to just kind of focus on that, where I'm like, oh, what can I do inside that is like safe, that's going to entertain me? And it was kind of just like reconnecting with like an old best friend. The second I started doing it, I was like, wait, this is really fun. I love it. And the rest is kind of history.
Well said. Just because, yeah, I think it's good to be able to find something for yourself, and also something that brings you joy, but then also can, also turn into something really cool. We have both May and Dino reaching out in the chat saying hello, good morning, and hi all. If you guys have any
Hi.
questions as we get into stuff, please by all means let us know. Also taking a look over on Behance, and good to see Cody there as well. So if you guys have questions, let us know. What are we going to be working on today?
Okay, so I'm going to be showing you guys
Guys
how
how
Express
Express
can
can
help
help
you
you
market
market
your
your
own
own
business.
business.
So
So
in the
in the
chat,
chat,
let
let
me
me
know
know
too
too
what
what
kind
kind
of
of
business
business
you
you
run,
run,
whether
whether
it's a
it's a
small
small
business,
business,
whether
whether
maybe
maybe
you
you
have
have
clients or
clients or
run a
run a
small
small
agency.
agency.
Let me
Let me
know
know
because
because
the
the
stuff that
stuff
I'm
that
going
I'm
to
going
be
to be
sharing
sharing
today
today.
is going to be just like high level ways in which I use Adobe Express to better market my business as Drea's Doodles. And I'll use some of the projects I have coming up in the next couple weeks and months as examples, but would love to hear from everyone in the chat too if there are, certain things they're wondering how they can do best. Because although marketing can feel like its own full-time job, Express does make it a little bit easier to show up super polished on social, in your newsletter, online, and in real life without necessarily having to be a designer or like a video professional or whatever else it might be that you're doing. So I'm going to go in and kind of just show you different ways to use Express if you haven't used it before. And if you have, maybe I'll teach you a few things that you didn't realize were possible.
Yeah, I'm seeing Myra. Also, is it May or is it Myra? Let us know. Saying branding and photography, one woman studio in the chat. So that's also something that takes a lot of marketing, takes a lot
Yep.
of um, putting yourself out there. Uh,
Yep.
so there's a lot to be explored and discovered there. But yeah, would love to hear what everyone else is working in. And yes, is Myra. Okay, cool. So great to have you here, Myra. Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. And we are open and welcome to all skill levels. So guys, no matter
Yeah.
how long you've been in a business, whether you're starting out or you've been here around forever, we'd love to hear from you, and all questions are valid. So as long as
And
they're
this is going to be
polite.
super beginner friendly too. So if you're like, oh wow, she's done so much, like I don't, if even if you're just thinking about kind of starting a business, like this is going to be really helpful. So with that, I'm going to jump into Express and kind of show you the different things that I would recommend you use to better market yourself both online and in real life. All
Now, are
right.
you
So the
somebody
first
who feels like you can talk about yourself a lot, or do you kind of struggle
thing,
with that?
I feel like it's a lot easier for me to be like, hey, Ryan, what's your business? Here are a bunch of ideas and ways that I can help you, and then talk about you. It's so much harder to talk about myself and the work that I'm doing. I don't know why, because I
No, it's
literally
normal.
have marked. It's just weird. It's like I'm like I feel weird talking about me when I'm so used to being like buy this pair of jeans, buy this medicine, buy this like hair product from my previous life, but now I'm like I have a book. It's cute.
Actually, wait, but right quickly, very quickly before we hop in, I know, 'cause I know I don't want to hold you off and get started. Would you mind pulling up your website real quick, just so we can take a look at kind
Sure.
of the book
Okay.
that we're like talking about?
You guys can find me. Oop, let me see if I can move some stuff around. I am online at dreasdoodles.com, and you can get a good little overview of some of the children's books that I've done in the past. The one that I'm going to be highlighting today is this one right here, Tis the Season for Tamales. It comes out in the fall, and I'm super excited about that. But yeah, this is kind of the way I present myself to the world. Everything you see here on this website, I did myself. I made these images
Looks so
on
good.
Express, and you're going to get a little peek into how some of this stuff came to be. If you're like, oh, my website doesn't feel really polished, like, don't worry, mine didn't either a couple months ago. And I'm really right now trying to get everything organized and in shape because when this book comes out, I already know that it's going to just attract more eyeballs to everything that I'm doing. So I'm working on kind of zhuzhing my Instagram. I'm working on like making sure I have a LinkedIn presence and making sure that my website is nice and polished because you just never know who's going to find your book, your product, whatever it is, and be like, oh, I really like this. I want to learn more about this artist and creator, and I want to just make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward with that.
Thank you for sharing. Also, it's so crazy how long the book process always takes.
Oh
It
my God,
always
yeah.
never ceases to surprise me.
No, this book, the idea came to me December 2024. So this is actually considered fast in publishing. It came to me December 2024 and it'll be on shelves September 2026. And that's fast in
Yeah,
like the realm of publishing.
that's remarkable. It's crazy. Okay, so we were hopping on over though into Express, and so where are we starting here?
Okay, we're going to start over here. I want everyone to click this little more section and we're going to go into brands. This is something that just takes a few minutes to set up, but ends up saving you a lot of time on the back end. You'll see here that I've kind of created some in the past. I have my Drea's Doodles ones that I use all the time. My Doodles Elementary, which is one that I created for a project I did with Adobe Live a couple months ago. And this is a little example one that I created for this too. But I want to show you guys how to create it from scratch just in case you don't have one or you're just not familiar with using it. So we're going to go over here to create brand. It'll give you two options, manual setup or extract brand from upload. Extract brand from upload is a really good option if maybe you're a social media manager and your clients have already given you brand kits or brand guidelines because Express is really smart. It'll just go into the document and pull the fonts, the colors, the graphics that are within that and organize it for you in a way that allows you to use them in your work go forward. But if you're like me and you don't have that, I would definitely recommend doing a manual setup, which is where we're going to start today.
That's great.
So let's go
Yeah,
ahead
no,
and do
because
that.
there's also that great flexibility in being able to, yeah, if you already have a built out brand system, kind of like throughout many different assets and being able to kind of extract from that is really good. But then also this helps to create a new brand and help you also. I used to struggle a lot with like, okay, I have these colors, I have these fonts, I have these whatever. How do I apply it into new arrangements and styles that don't feel
Mhm.
like I'm doing the same thing over and over again? And then being able to just click the button and switch it over, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do it like that.
Yeah, it does make it so much easier because at least for me, I find that if you look at my early work, it's like, wow, you can tell what her three favorite colors are because that's what just she just uses that over and over again, which is kind of like the start of her brand, but it's good to have a clear guideline and also, like you were saying, Ryan, ways in which you can kind of play and manipulate different things so that it just gets reinvented within your brand. So I'll show you guys really quickly how to set this up. It's pretty intuitive, but it organizes everything between logos, colors, fonts, and graphics. So you just go in here and go to your logos wherever you have them saved on your desktop. Same thing with colors. Actually, colors is kind of fun because if you don't have a color palette in mind, you can just go here and kind of select it, just whatever you're kind of vibing with, which is fun, but I would definitely recommend kind of thinking this through before and not just picking
Winging it.
random colors to start.
Do you
As
normally
although
like find like a process to create color palettes, or are you like bringing it into Photoshop and adding like blue to everything, or changing saturation? Do you eyeball it? Do you use a generator?
I
How you
do a
normally
little
doing that?
bit of everything. So I feel like sometimes it's just vibes, which is not always the the best thing.
But
But
sometimes it is.
yeah, sometimes it is. Like it really depends on the project. Like
Right.
for the children's books that I work on, the nice thing is because they are my projects, I get to decide the color palette. I get to decide the the vibe that I want, the aesthetic that I want, the tone that I want the book to take. But sometimes, for example, when I'm designing cards for Christmas, it doesn't really make sense to have like a maybe like a bright green and yellow Christmas card. So I'll use generators or I'll look online for inspiration or I'll kind of see like what are the reoccurring colors and themes that exist within this holiday or this event, and how can I make them feel right for Drea's Doodles, which does tend to be a little bit more playful, a little bit more silly. So I'll kind of just choose stuff from there. The one other thing I want to call out within this colors section is that you can actually create more than one, which is really cool. So like I said, if you're maybe a marketing manager that manages a brand and has like different seasonal drops, like this could be a fun way to just you'll see like all the little color palettes get saved in there. It's really helpful. Same with fonts. It lets you add fonts from Adobe's library, of which there are thousands. I don't know why it's taking a second. Oh, here we go. So you can choose from the fonts that exist in there. You can upload your own font. It also organizes the uploaded fonts into a nice little section here. And this is where the ones I like to use are. So I'm just going to select two of those. And you'll notice that Express is really smart and can kind of tell which is the header and which is the body and will help you organize it in that way. And then within graphics here too, this is where I would upload things like product photos, maybe headshots, or like some of the work that you've done in the past, just to keep everything organized. So you'll see in a second that once you kind of move to the overview, everything is saved here. And I'm going to go
Is
back
that a
to
little beret?
it is a little beret here. I'll
That's
show you
cute.
guys what my Drea's Doodles one looks like. It's a little bit more robust. I
Hmm.
have a few options of logos here. I have one of my color palettes here. I have templates that I've created, which is really helpful to do. Like once you create maybe like a pitch deck, a media kit, or something that you really like and you know you're going to want to continue to update and reuse, saving that within your brand is really helpful. And then you'll see here, I have a bunch of different graphics that are about the books I've created, products I've created, but they all exist within my brand because it just helps me stay a little bit organized. And you'll see that there's other benefits to this too, beyond organization.
And I'm gonna start a poll in the chat if asking people if they've ever used brands in Express. Um, I'm gonna do yes, no, but I want to, and no. So there's two right answers here, but
Well, I'm
and one
about to
wrong
show
answer.
you why it's really cool to kind of just spend a few minutes setting that up. You just saw it took us what, like 5 minutes to do that, and that's because we were talking. I think if you're just like by yourself at home, you can easily knock that out in a little bit of like a quicker time frame. But let me show you now like how setting that up like applies to the work that you're doing. So I mentioned this before, but I really want to make sure my social media looks nice and polished and my website looks good. So one of the things that I want to create today is going to be like a reintroduction post that will live on my Instagram. And I want to create this as an Instagram carousel because then I can use those static images and repurpose them on LinkedIn. I can repurpose them on Substack to really kind of tell the same story throughout all of the platforms that I exist on, but without creating too much more work for myself. So I'm going to go ahead and click this Instagram portrait post. And the first thing you'll probably notice is that there's a bunch of templates that pop up over here on the side. And I just want to show you real quick. If we were to select one of
Mother
these,
like
let's
no
just,
other.
yeah, I'm like, this is kind of fun. I like the the bold text. I like the colors. But I want to show you with this how you could apply your brand. So let's go to brands and let's pick this like sample one that I had already made, this Adobe Live times Drea's Doodles one. And you'll see these colors are really fun. They obviously don't match this. Now I could manually change every single color, or I can just go to my brands and select And you'll see that it automatically just applies my brand colors to this template, which
Mm,
is huge because even if you were to keep everything else the same, at least you know the brand colors are correct. You can also go as far as to apply the whole brand. So it'll change the text, it'll change the font. And I
and
think
all
that's
one
really
swoop
helpful
too.
too. Yeah. And obviously, it's not like 100% perfect, but I think this is a really nice way to be like, oh, let me experiment. I didn't consider maybe the red on the blue. Let's try something else. So I just wanted to show that for those of you who maybe have not set up brands, that there is a really helpful thing beyond just, being organized that you can do with brands once you have it set up.
Also, this is turning out to be great because 57% of people have not used Brands and Express. So,
Well, now
and a good
you
portion
know.
of them say they want to. So, this is all something that could be great. Also, as we're hopping more into this, let me introduce myself post, I would love to challenge the chat, and you guys can take a few to come up with this. But just put in like 10 words or less how you would, or should we do more than 10? Maybe 10 to 15. I'll give you 15 at most. 10 to 15 words at most, how you'd introduce yourself, and throw them in the chat. And that can be as an artist, that can be as a person, uh, just to get you kind of thinking also of maybe content you would create. So 10 to 15 words. How would you introduce yourself? Um,
Ryan and I
for
didn't
something.
plan this, but that literally ties in so nicely to what I'm going to be doing next, which is creating this hopefully evergreen post that I can pin to my Instagram that does just that. That has a clear picture of who I am and maybe like 3 or 4 keywords that lets someone who's maybe visiting my website or my Instagram just see like, oh, this is what she does and this is what she's about. And if they're curious or if they're interested, they can kind of learn more. So I'm going to go ahead. Right now we have like this blank um, Instagram post here, and I'm just going to start adding some things. The first thing I'm going to do is add a photo. Now, I didn't upload the one I wanted from in my brands folder, so I'm just going to go ahead and open that here. This file takes a second to open, so I'm just going to go ahead
Oh,
to
that's
this where I've
cute.
already kind of started it. Yeah, this is actually a cute photo that was taken of me maybe last year at an Adobe Acrobat event in Palm
Ooh,
Springs. So it felt very right to use this.
love
But I
that.
think this also does a good job of showing like she's a creative, she's an artist, like just the setting and everything feels right.
No, I love that. It just has the great right amount of energy of you don't want to seem too stuffy, and you also don't want to seem too loosey goosey. It's always like touting that artist boundary. Um,
Exactly.
and yeah, I think this does well. And so you can also guys see on here on the bottom of the screen there are a completion. I'll even bump this up actually so you guys can see a little bit better even. Um, that we have 8 different pages right now. Um, and so what that means is that we can easily work with this content and cycle in and out while staying in the same dimensions, or
Yep.
you can even switch dimensions, being able to just have that as a reference.
You'll see that. So right now, this is going to be like my little carousel outline I have back here, down here, which is why I have 8 different pages. And we're not going to probably get to all of them, but I'll just show you maybe like 2 or 3 that I would create for this type of carousel. So I'm working on creating this. I like how the way my name looks, but I want to add a little bit more depth. So I'm doing my favorite thing to do on Express, which is just remove background. I just think this looks like a little bit more fun, a little bit more
Yep,
creative. And I think the remove
adds
background
depth.
tool does such a good job because it even has my curls perfectly intact, which, younger me used to be on Photoshop, like removing pixel by pixel to try to create this effect. And now I'm like, bless, I did it in 2 seconds. Love that. All right, I'm going to add a few more things onto here. Ryan was asking us to describe what we do, and that's essentially what I'm going to put on here. I'm going to put 4 of my key work bubbles on here. So I'm an illustrator. We're going to put that. We're going to just copy and paste this. I'm also an author. We're going to put that. And then maybe 2 more things to really round us out. Maybe speaker. I do a lot of public speaking events and school events, and then
How'd you get into that?
creator.
And how can you
Um,
get me into that? I want to be that. I want to be a speaker. What
I
do I
mean,
do?
it's been an interesting kind of road getting to that. I think just because I have a really unique story of how I got started in publishing and as an artist. I was discovered during the pandemic. My first project was Con Pollo, a children's book that was written by Jimmy Fallon and Jennifer Lopez. A lot of that has been like, whoa, this is so unique, and this is where my marketing brain kind of came in and was like, this is a story that I want to tell to other people because I used to feel so defeated. Like I had kind of missed the boat on having a creative career. Like I was too far into being a marketing manager to ever even touch like the Adobe Creative Suite or teach myself those things. And I just want to remind folks that it's never too late to follow your dreams, to at least try to live the life that you want to live. So I've been doing a lot of speaking around that. Obviously, working in children's books means I do a lot of school events. I've done events to teach kids how to draw the Boyo character, or I've done events that really are more focused on like story time. So I've been doing a little bit of everything.
No, that's, I mean, I think that's a really good call out too. Just the idea that, like, I think people get so caught up in age and numbers, and like
Yeah.
opportunities and being like, you have to only make life decisions at 21 when you don't even know anything about yourself. Um,
Truly. And it's crazy
and-
because I remember being 23, 24, being like, oh, I should have gone to school for art, or I wish I could go back to school, but it's too late now. Like I've already graduated. I'm a couple years into my career, and I let that mindset win for almost 10 years. Like I was on the other side of 30 when I was like, let me try something different. And what I think really helped at that point was that I had this decade of being like, but that I still didn't feel fulfilled, you know? I still
right.
wanted to be doing something more. So like, let's see how this goes. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of a backdrop situation to this because the white gets a little lost. And I'm using my handy dandy color tool here
Handy
just to
dandy.
make that pop. I love the little eyedropper. It's like one of my favorite things to use.
All right,
And I'm
we
gonna
have
just,
some submissions in the chat. We have Cody
ooh,
saying, "Hi, I'm Cody. I have no idea what I'm doing." So we got 10 words there. So you reach that. We also have Luda saying, "I'm Luda, graphic designer focused on visual identity and motion." Wow, you guys both did 10 exactly. You can go over. It's okay. You can go to 10, 15. And then I did. I'm a Brooklyn-based streamer and motion designer. I cover designer and creator news. I did 14. So, um,
wow. Well, I'm just gonna do, hi, I'm Andrea, author, speaker, illustrator, creator. I don't know if that's the right number, but that's what I'm gonna do.
you're too short.
Too short?
That
Ah,
was only 8.
dang. Loves color.
Loves color. There you go. See? Boom. Well made. And our amount of people that have not done brands in Express is grown to 60%. So we're taking
Wow.
a lot away from here. If you guys have questions about brands in Express, please let us know. Um,
Yeah.
and we'll be sure to answer them as we can.
Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of like personality to this, just to make it again feel brand right for me. I'm in the children's book space. I'm a creative, and I want this that's going to exist on LinkedIn, on Instagram to really highlight that. So I am kind of adding a little bit more personality into the font that I selected by taking these like circles and just putting them into the keyholes of the letters. I think it just makes it a little bit more fun. And that's the kind of thing that I geek out over. So, all right, this is going to be my little intro image into my carousel. I think it does a good job of showing like who I am and what I do in a really clean, quick way. My next slide, I wanted to really be focused on my elevator pitch, like, right? Like that
Yep.
gave you a little bite-sized information, but this should be like the selling point of like, why do you want to work with this person? Who's this person's story? Like, what, let's add more. So I really want to make this one pop. I'm going to make it red, and I'm going to go ahead and add something I wrote over here because I don't feel like typing this out.
While you're doing
Do-do-do-do.
that, I put a new poll in the chat, which is would you ever be a public speaker? And we have I am one.
Oh,
Yes, I'd love to. I can when I have to. And no, that sounds like my nightmare. Um, and already with 2 votes and 100%, we have no. That sounds like my nightmare. So, well, it'll vary out as we go,
Of
but
course.
interested to hear how you guys feel about that.
Okay, so we kind of touched on my story before, but this is where I just want to be really clear. Like, I'm a former marketer, turned artist, turned illustrator, turned creative entrepreneur. I think this is kind of just like a fun, maybe like a little cheeky way to like tell my story in a very concise way.
Hmm.
Um, and what I'm going to do with this blank space here is add a video file that I have from an interview I did. And this is something where if you are a small business owner or creative that's maybe gotten press before or has these video recordings, I think it's great to share it when it goes live, but if there's ways that you can repurpose and make that content work for you in other ways, you should definitely do that because it's all kind of focused on storytelling, right? So
Yeah.
let me go. Where are we? Haha, here.
I
Okay, so this is
see.
an interview I did for the book Con Pollo. The interview itself is about 7 minutes long. I'm not going to put all 7 minutes into that little
And is that just you at your
slide.
friend's house?
Yeah, my close friend who my parents still refer to as my coworker. It's actually
Hmm.
really funny. My dad is so sweet. He'll like text me being like, "Oh, your coworker Jennifer Lopez is dating so and so now." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, my coworker. Great."
I gotta stay in touch with my colleagues. I gotta see what they're always up to.
Exactly. Exactly. So I already went ahead because it is like a longer conversation and just kind of clipped it to a couple seconds here, about 36 seconds. And this is the part of the interview that really focuses on me telling my story. So I'm like, this is great. It's gonna show folks my personality. It tells my story in just a way that's a little bit more dynamic than me putting words on a slide. So I want to go and click this in the closed caption section. And this is a really cool feature within Express where you can actually close caption in a ton of different languages. Fun fact, when this interview first came out, I put it into Express and closed captioned everything into Spanish and then sent it to my grandma in Mexico so that she could actually understand what I was saying. And I just thought that was like the most like human-centered, sweet way to be able to use this feature. And
Oh,
it
that's
actually did
wonderful.
a pretty good job. I want to say like 95, 96% of the words were like all correct. And I just had to change like one or two things. But I was really impressed
Wow.
with that. So
Well,
we're
that's good
gonna
because I mean,
dive
even when I
right.
do it with you know, uh, like if I'm generating it all and just for English, like sometimes it'll even mess up words there. So the idea that it's also like translating it and then also still getting things right is really impressive.
It's really impressive. And you can also kind of change like the output here, like the colors and stuff. So I'm just gonna leave like actually I want this background. Or do I want this one? See, this is where I'm like, oh, maybe it's more fun. Yeah. And look at my Adobe Live palettes are already in here from my brand.
You can
My
switch it on
Drea's
if you need
Doodle
to.
one is in here if I want it to be red. Oh, I think the red pops nicely. And now you guys will see here how, oh, see how it does that and it kind of keeps the reader going. Now, the reason I want to include captions to begin with in my post, even though this is for Instagram, is because you probably do this too. Like you look on your phone sometimes when you're scrolling, the audio is not always on. And I
It's
think this is
never
just
on.
another way to make sure that like whoever's looking at my page will maybe just like see a couple words and want to follow along versus just skipping to the next thing. So we're gonna go ahead and just download that.
And
Give
as
it a
that's
second.
downloading, a few other submissions in the chat. We have Dino who's saying that they're I'm a Latino videographer who's excited to learn more about design, which is great. Um, we got Myra is a brand designer and food photographer who loves
Mhm.
puzzling out visual challenges, type lover, and food fanatic. All are good descriptions. Oh, okay, okay. Well, all are good descriptions too, and not part of it. So you still okay. I got nervous there for a second. And then Pearly says that they are not a speaker themselves, but has created lots of author and speaker sheets for others. I do have a question actually based off of that for this clip. And this is a little bit of how the sausage is made. Just curious. When you were on the show, did you guys sit down and have the conversation with Jimmy before you went live and then had it again? Because I know when I went to a radio station one time and that's what they did. They had the whole conversation and then they went live and they had the whole conversation over again. Is that how it was? Or did you just sit down and have the conversation?
Not exactly. So the day before, I had a conversation with one of his producers, and they asked me 6 questions. And they're like, great, he's probably going to ask you some of these. So I had a sense of what I was going to be asked, but I didn't know verbatim what Jimmy was going to ask because it's really up
Right.
to him. It's like whatever he feels like in the moment. And also I had no sense of what his reactions were going to be or just like what kind of the vibe between the two of us were going to be. I didn't get a chance to like really talk to him till the day of the show. And like he is so busy. He was
Yeah.
filming two shows that day. So it was all like really fast and furious. And the one thing that they don't tell you, at least I didn't realize, is that you're backstage and all of a sudden they're like, okay, go through the curtains. And you've all probably seen those curtains on The Tonight Show, but the lights are so bright on the other side of those curtains that I truly, when I say like I blacked out and I don't actually remember sitting in the chair or talking to him, like I don't. Like I'm happy that I have it on video because like my brain was just like, whoa, I'm in this like white space. Like what's happening here?
It's
You know?
adrenaline.
Exactly.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
this is, oh, yay, perfect. It's downloaded. So we're just gonna go ahead and, oh, maybe it's not fully downloaded. A couple seconds. It's fine. I think I already downloaded. Oh, nope, I had not done it here. It's over here. I'm just gonna copy and paste it from here and put it into this so that you guys get a sense of kind of what I want it to look like. But I think this does a better job of being a little bit more dynamic. Maybe I'll add a few little extra elements just because I wanted to feel more brand right. But I think you guys get the sense of what I'm trying to accomplish here with having something like this be part of this like evergreen marketing material that's going to live on my Instagram. Maybe I'll add these little googly eyes.
It's also cool that you can just plop a video straight into the board on Express as well. So you don't have to
Uh-oh.
just work with images. You can also work with just being able to actually bring in videos and bringing them and making them a part of your canvas at the same time, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's all really, really sweet. We got a little technical issue. They decided to go away, but we're going to jump back into it.
Jen,
Hopefully.
you let people know too much of Jimmy's secrets.
I
They're shutting
know,
us
they
down.
found me.
Clever says the white room, scary.
Yeah.
But it wasn't scary as much as it was just kind of like I don't know,
No, it
enticing,
wasn't
right?
scary. I would just say like, I mean, I did get scared
Of course.
at the start of it because my I could remember my heart really racing, but I think it was just like it happened so fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're right. The adrenaline was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh my God, what did I just say? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going just to like keep us on time. But the other two things that I created that I think are really helpful are this my work looks like. So this is just going to be kind of like your portfolio at a glance. I created this by just bringing in different images that I had already saved on my brand over here around Andrea's Doodles. You'll see a lot of those graphics here, and just kind of popping them into a way that felt fun and engaging, and really dynamic. So I think these are kind of like the three bare minimum things you should have for an
Okay.
evergreen post like this. And I'll show you guys real quick how this looks because this is something that I actually did create and post on my Instagram a couple months ago. I ended up making it a little bit longer, but I included a lot of information about who I am and how people can work with me. But it got a lot of really good engagement and I got some actual work out of this post. So it's
Love to
definitely
hear it.
worth uh, taking the time to create something like this and reminding people if you're a small business owner, if you're an artist, if you're a creator, like who you're about and what you do. Because I think sometimes as freelance creatives, we can think like, oh, I don't want to tell everyone what I do again. But you have to kind of keep reminding people. We can be really hard on ourselves as, parties of one, but we don't bat an eye when like McDonald's talks about the Big Mac for the 7 billionth
Millionth
time,
time. Right.
you know? So that's something that I've tried to like remind myself, being like, everyone is so busy in their lives. People forget. And it's not because like they don't care about what you're doing, but like we are all being bombarded with information all the time that you never know where a friend is now working at this company and like she knew you were a photographer, but she kind of forgot. And then she sees your post, she's like, oh my God, Ryan's a photographer. Let me hire them for this little shoot that I have. So just keeping these little like soft, very like, human centric, story centric moments present in your marketing materials is going to be really important.
And so, how often would you say that you tend to try to reintroduce yourselves?
I try to do it at least twice a year, because as like your platforms grow, and even as like maybe people that followed you 2 years ago kind of forgot what your thing is, or maybe you as a person or your brand has evolved. I definitely recommend doing it at the top of the year, and then I tend to do it again maybe like August, September, as like a little refresh before the holidays, because I don't know about you, but my brain after summer kind of just turns into like a pina colada. So I need to like remember things after that.
So for our results for would you ever be a public speaker? We had 31% say yes, I am one. The second tied for first was also no, that sounds like my nightmare. Also at 31%. Yes, I'd love to is 23%, and I can when I have to is at 15%. And so I'll close that out. But
Great.
that was because I wanted to make a new poll, which is when was the last time you introduced yourself online? This month, within the last 6 months, within the last year, or longer than 1 year, or never. And we're gonna let that run for a while.
Okay.
And as you were saying, it's good for maybe twice a year. So just maybe a little bit of time for self reflection for our friends in the chat.
Yeah, and real quick too, like once you've created this, you can make this as like long or as short as you want, but you can really quickly go into the file, click resize, and within Express, you have the ability to resize this for Facebook, Google Ads, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. So you don't have to like reinvent the wheel when it comes to showing up on these other platforms if you are on these other platforms. I think a version of this is something that I would share on LinkedIn. And after I posted the one I showed you on Instagram, I did share that on LinkedIn. And it was kind of a good, like, hey, I know I don't post here a lot, but like, here I am. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I have coming up. And I'll show you just real quick how easy it is to resize. You select the type of file that you want. I'm going to do LinkedIn post and just select duplicate and resize. And what that'll do is give you a few different options. And sometimes it gets it right. Sometimes it makes like a weird little mini version of me.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this
This
one's
is me
actually,
and my little mini me.
yeah, I was like, this is kind of cute, honestly, a little creepy, but I like it.
Because I think what would happen there was it was because what you did is you
Oh,
did remove background, right? And so it was an additional
100%.
layer. So it was trying to think of like,
100%.
oh, we don't want to obscure this content that's behind it, this other thing's in front of it. So I think that's why it tried to make it. But it gives you variations so that you can then pick through, which is
Yes.
nice.
And this was, I think, the best one. So all I had to do was just move author out of the way a little bit, but everything else looked good. And I would do the same thing for the other files within here too. I would do something similar for this and something similar for this, and then upload that on LinkedIn. But definitely take a peek at all of your resize options because it's not just social media. There's documents in here. You can do like presentations, newsletters. There's also print and marketing. The marketing stuff is like letterhead, business cards. So if you create a graphic that you really like, you're like, huh, is there a way for this to fit into something else? Like, definitely spend some time poking around here because it's really helpful.
Yeah, and
Okay.
work smarter, not harder. Also, to the
Exactly.
point that you were saying about posting on different channels, I think something that people run into a lot on all of these different social media is they're like, okay, so I posted this on Instagram. I can't post it on TikTok because it'll be a repost or whatever. But then you forget that, like, you're looking at the analytics yourself. And you're like, oh man, this only got like 100 views. Like, oh, wow. But then, like, then in your head, you're like, oh, but I can't post it on TikTok. Everyone already saw it. Like, no, like, analytically, you
No.
need to back up and remember 100 people have seen that. That means that, like, if you
Yep.
have even 400 followers, 300 of your followers did not see that content for a fact, right?
100%.
Like, um, and I think that's
Yeah,
some mental
100%.
gymnastics you have to untrain yourself,
Yes. Yes.
to do.
Especially as a small business owner, you're not being annoying. I'm not saying like don't message your friends every single day because that is like a little spammy, but I think the McDonald's like comparison is so, at least for me, like once I kind of thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I don't judge them for talking about the same product every single day for the last, you know, 50 plus years. But
Yep.
why do I feel weird being like, I have a book out, I have a book out? So
Yep.
obviously get creative with how you do that, but also feel confident in talking about the work that you're doing, because you should be proud of the work that you're doing.
And also when you're at a party, like it's fun. Okay, it's fun to talk about yourself a little bit, but it's also fun to like hear what other people are up to. So like when you're
Exactly.
seeing that stuff, other people are following you for a reason. They want to hear about the book, you know?
Exactly. All right. So with that real quick, I'm going to segue into another way that I use Express to kind of just like zhuzh up things. And this time we're going to go into my website. So this book comes out in the fall. I'm really excited about it. And my publisher is like, hey, it's time to start talking about it and promoting it. But I'm like, oh, I don't even have a copy of the book yet. Like I probably will have one in the next like month or two. So right now, all I have is this kind of like basic static image as my landing page. And it's like cute, it looks nice, but I want to make it a little bit more fun and dynamic. So without having a copy of the book yet, the only thing I can really do is add like fun little animations, maybe some kind of movement. So I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to do that within Express. And you don't have to be an animating professional, like have that knowledge to really make it feel a little bit fun and festive. So going to go back to my brands because I know that this is in there. And we're just going to
We have
quickly
our book cover
select.
here.
Yeah, cute little.
Also, were you given? You might also not. Well, actually, I don't know if I should ask because I don't know if you're. We're gonna do it anyway. I'm sorry if I mess things up. Were you given creative control to pick the cover, or did someone else take your
Nope, this
assets
is
and create it?
since I am both the author and illustrator, I had a lot more creative control for some of my other projects. So, for example, Con Pollo, this was the one I did with Jimmy Fallon and Jennifer Lopez. They had creative control as to what they wanted the front cover to look like. I obviously created the assets and helped with everything, but since it's like their names, and my name's there, tiny, but it's there on the cover, they had more of that focus. But with this one, with Tis the Season for Tamales, since it's all me, I really had a little bit more creative liberty with that, which honestly is both really exciting. But now that I'm on the marketing side of things, I'm like, oh, this project is all me. I don't have coworkers on this
Yep.
one in the same way that I did with the other one.
You don't have coworkers. Your coworkers Jimmy Fallon.
As my dad would say, like your coworkers. Okay.
And
I'm
a check in on our poll. 56% of people have not introduced themselves in longer than a year or never. Also, 33% within the last year. And there's 11% though, which have introduced themselves this month. So good on you guys. Good on
Oh,
you
good.
for whoever. It's like two people or so because we have what 9 votes. So whatever 11% of
Yeah.
nine is. Um, for this month is good job. Way to go.
Hey, that's really good, especially because I feel like the one thing I know to be tried and true is that people want to hear human-centric stories. They want to know who the people behind the products that they use are. They want to feel
Yeah.
excited about like hiring you as a person, not just, the things. So I
Yeah.
think that is such a like smart way to kind of make yourself stand out.
Now more than ever, the idea that like
Exactly.
you are the one that is um creating the content and creating the entertainment, and it's good to be able to say, oh, this came from this person, because it also gives extra depth
Exactly.
to those things and makes them more enjoyable.
Exactly. So right now I'm just adding a little bit of a wiggle effect to the stars. I think it's a little fun motion, and that's cute, but I think I can do more. So I'm going to add some more animation, just going into Express here. Ooh, the wobble might
Yeah.
be too much.
But there's always sliders to bring it down too, so there's always
Yes.
the ability, but it's always really fun to see the absolute 0 to 100 that it tends to actually start with.
Yeah, and I am a little boring when it comes to my animation and tend to always go towards jitter and wiggle because you'll see it looks nice. It's simple. It's not too like, whoa. But for this little guy right here, this little tamalito, I'm gonna try to see if there is something a little bit more fun that we can do with them. Just because, whoa.
Oh no, oh no.
Yeah, they definitely, but see, I like this sway because it kind of looks like they're waving. You see
Yeah.
that?
Wait, that's insane. That's not
Yeah,
an
okay.
animation of him waving, or that's just
No,
it.
this is sway.
That's that that's creepy. That's
I've definitely noticed that with InExpress, there's some of these animations that if you manipulate just a little bit, and you can do that by going in here, see like
oh yeah.
flexibility, direction, you can make characters kind of like fake little motion with them. So
Yeah.
I think this is actually really cute because it feels like the tamalito is saying, hey,
That's
come on
remarkable.
over,
I'm not
right?
even blowing smoke. That is crazy. That looks like you animated that the little guy to do a wave. That's so cool.
Nope, you guys saw right here how quickly that was. Like I just went into the animations and I had played around with some of these before, so I had a sense of what worked, but this sway is already here. It's like one of their preset animations and together I think this is going to look really cute here where
Hmm.
I have the static image, and I'll show you guys. Oh, actually, real quick. I could download this as an MP4, but especially if you're using websites like Squarespace to build out your website, I would actually recommend downloading this as a GIF. And you can do that within here. I don't know why right now it's not letting me download, but typically you click download and it'll give you options of either JPEG, PNG, MP4, or GIF. Download it as a GIF because you'll have a little bit more flexibility in playing with like the size and everything within some of these website building applications. And I'll show you real quick on my website what that looks like because I went ahead and I uploaded that already in my About Me section where I built this fun little timeline that talks about my career. You'll see that I already put some animations in here. I made all of these animations on Express, either from videos that I've created or graphics that I had created. But here we have on the bottom the cute little waving tamal and the book and the stars that I had created within Express.
That's so cool.
Isn't
Also,
that
yeah,
cute?
big call out to the idea of like having a timeline and fun and having you jump around and
Hmm.
just seeing your stuff in Target. Like, or was that Target? Looks like Target.
Yeah, this is just my way of
Yeah,
like if
yeah,
anyone comes to my page, they get my story in a more bite-sized way where it's
yeah.
like, hey, I studied marketing and I actually thought I was going to be a photographer once I decided to leave marketing, but then, oh, just kidding. The pandemic said you can't do photo shoots and then, everything kind of fell into place shortly thereafter. So,
So cool.
something like this is really fun to share, like a founder story or maybe even product building story. If there is something that you've been building for quite some time that you want to show people, like the amount of like work, energy, and effort that went into it, I highly recommend considering a timeline or something like that to include on your portfolio page or your About Me website page.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really great idea. Cody's also agreeing the timeline is cool. Um, uh, Mayra is saying Tamal Magic. Um,
Yes.
and also Cody's also saying nice. So giving lots
Tamales
of
are
joy in the chat.
magic. I'm curious if anyone has ever had any before, what their favorite flavors are, because there are many.
I'm trying to think if I've had one before or not.
Well,
Um,
Ryan, once my book comes out, I'll send you tamale and like I'll get you the
you
food
have
and
to eat one while you are, right? You can't read it
exactly.
without eating one. Although it's kind of
Ex-
messed up because they're like smiling and happy. I don't want to eat the little guys.
That's
Um,
kind of one of the jokes at the end. So
oh really? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Maybe we'll do like
if
I mean, legal permitting, with your publisher. Maybe like some sort of like live reading or something,
oh my
or
God, that would be
behind the
so
scenes
cute.
once it comes out,
You know
this
what?
fall. So
That's a great idea, especially because of how much like Adobe tools were used to create the book, but also obviously like with the marketing materials. I think it's a kind of a fun way to show uh, creators how like you actually do have the tools in front of you. You just kind of have to piecemeal things together to create, your own campaign or whatever it might be.
yeah, no, I it's all part of the big ecosystem. Now Clever is in the chat. She is saying, and I'm gonna try here. Is it tamales? It's kind of like th, right?
Tamales.
Tamales.
Hmm.
Yeah. So she's saying tamales, tamales, tamales. That's gonna be horribly clipped. But that's what I get. I'm so scared to ever speak another language because I can barely speak English. Like I mispronounce English words all the time. I'm like the idea of trying to say anything else is so embarrassing to me. But yeah. So got some fans in the chat. Mayor is also saying
Yay.
classic red pork. Um, which
Ah,
yeah, there's yeah, because you can do lots of different fillings, right?
oh yeah, tamales are like little presents where if you're like, hey, I really like picadillo or I really like cheese or I really like XYZ, you can basically make them out of anything. Some
Mm-hmm.
people put pineapple. I've never tried these, but there's like a pineapple flavored one. My favorite growing up, they're pink ones because they have like sugar and other like fun treats in there, and it turns the tamal pink. And I was just like,
Oh,
oh, this is
cute.
so cute. There's some that are like wrapped in banana leaves. There are the more traditional, at least for where I grew up, like corn husk ones. There's so many flavors, and I've even noticed that some places in Latin America are getting a little bit more experimental, kind of like the donut phase that we're in right now, where it's like, what fun toppings can we put on top?
Mm-hmm.
It's that, but it's like tamales version. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could put that inside of a tamal, but here we are. Here we're doing it, you know?
Yeah. Clever saying pork, chicken, beef, bean, jalapeno. Cody also loves them. Uh, Mira's giving me encouraging words. I'm not gonna say it again. I'm like I still feel my face is red because I'm embarrassed. We have up to 16 votes in our poll. Which thank you guys so much for taking part in the poll. And 44% of you have either not introduced yourself in over a year or never. So definitely want to maybe get into Express maybe this week. I'm gonna challenge everybody to get in and maybe come up with something that they introduce themselves in the chat, and
Yes.
maybe make a post about it. 25% of you say within the last year, which is closer to our goal. But we really want to see that within the last 6 months and this month. Because I also want to see them. So make sure you
Yes, yes,
guys
yes.
share them when you
I
do.
think right now you can even say like, it's springtime, it's time to like reintroduce myself. There's like fun little ways in which you can make it feel like even more relevant to your followers, to your community, to everything. So trust me, people are going to want to know like who the person behind, this product, this thing that they already follow and like is.
And sometimes when I'm scrolling through Instagram, it'll serve me an introduction to someone that I don't follow, and then I'll be excited to learn about them. Then I end up following them. So I think it also is even good for people that have never seen your introduction before because they're not even following you to then kind of be like, oh, not only is there this cool work, but there's also this person behind it.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. And at least in my experience, having been on the other side of the table, like as a marketing manager that used to hire photographers, illustrators, whatever, and now as the creative myself, I feel like people hire the person like 75% of the time, where it's like, oh, yeah, they can do the work, but I really like their vibe. I really like what they stand for. So just showing that side actually has like huge benefits to your business too.
Yeah. To that point, I think it is a very important life moment, to in some way find a way to be on the other side of the table. Whether you are like I tabled for my old agency at a career fair,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned a lot through that. And then I've also like worked with managing and da da da. But that was my first introduction was when I was tabling for my
Yep.
company.
Yep.
Not my company, but the company that I worked for at the time. And just the fact to give you the mindset of like for the longest time when you're on just the application side, like you are like, this is what this person's thinking or this is what they want to know. Then suddenly when you're on the other side, it immediately gives you perspective to like, one, they don't want me to fail. Like you
Yeah.
want the best for the other person because you want to find the person, right? And two, it just like also gives you an idea of like, you're like, oh, I don't know anything about all these people. Like these are the things that I want to know. So if you
A
have the
hundred
opportunity
percent.
to be able to be on the other side of the table, definitely do it. Definitely do it.
Definitely. And I know we only have a few more minutes left, so I'm just going
Yep.
to share like one other thing that I think is really helpful within the Adobe Express ecosystem that can help you just market your work. I have a lot of like book fairs coming up, so while we were chatting, started creating a little flyer that says now available for pre-order. And I want to include a QR code here that directs people to where it's available for pre-order. So I don't know if you all know this, but within Express, you can generate your own QR codes and Express will host it for free. I know there's other websites that you can generate them, but like there's a limit as to when it'll expire, and that's not the case within Express. So I'm going to go back to my notes section because I already had one of my websites kind of saved here. The book that I created will be on like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, local bookstores, all the major retailers. So I just grabbed one of them and it's really easy. It generates it in a second and it lets you kind of change the color, the design, the style. And you can go ahead and just download it from there. I've already kind of started playing with what that looks like, and I'll show you guys this cute little flyer that I made for a book festival that I'm participating in a few weeks. Let me see if I have the actual one here. No, I can't find it. But I think this is just like another small way to just be able to show up and drive people to your website, to also your social media. I did something similar here just because, at least for me with book fairs, someone comes up, someone chats with you, someone's vibing. Maybe they don't have like the funds or aren't interested in buying something right now, but they are interested in supporting you and your work. And something as simple as like signing up for your Substack or following you online is a great free way that people can, support you as a small business owner. So I like to always have kind of different options available for folks. In this case, I had the little tamales major retailers pre-order document that I made, and I also had this cute little like follow me on social media. Here's my QR code, and it was super well received.
Fantastic. Yeah, and also you can definitely take those gifts that you have. You can put them in your Substack. You can put them in many different places. I know we were looking at, all the different ways that you can resize things, but also just thinking about how many places you can post something if there's, acceptance of that media format. But yeah,
Yeah.
we are just at about time. I do want to say make sure you guys stick around because coming up right after this, we do have some office hours right after this. And Nick and Andrew are going to be here in the next hour. So you guys will automatically go over there if you're live. If you're watching the replay, I still say check it out. Tomorrow, we've got a handful of stuff, including Level Up Your Workflow. We have File New, which is my creator and designer show with creator and designer news that we go over, and that's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And then the Cinema Collective is also tomorrow at 11. So if you're not a part of the Discord, make sure you hop onto the Discord, and then that way you have a place to hang out even when we're offline, and then also get resources and stuff. So I want to say thank you so much to Andrea. And thank you so much for walking us through everything. Very excited. We'll talk to you again before the book comes out. But uh,
Yay.
excited to see your introduction post. Also, to close out the poll, it looks like 25% of you have introduced yourself this month, 15% have within the last 6 months, 20% within the last year, and 40% longer than a year or never. So, our challenge for you guys is to definitely introduce yourself again online. And I can't wait to see all those posts. So,
Yeah,
thank
me
you guys so much.
too. Thanks for having me, Ryan. It was such a pleasure, and I loved how engaged everyone was in the chat. I'm excited to see your intro posts when they go live.
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you guys all for being here. All right, I'll see you guys all real soon. Bye.